Ladies and gentlemen, after multiple rounds of questions regarding how do you cook a perfect steak, or Alex, what do you do that makes steaks so amazing and beautiful looking, good enough for Instagram, I finally decided I'm going to record a video to show you how to cook a perfect steak. You may be asking yourself, why is this guy wearing a hat inside? Well, shut up. That's not important. I didn't really comb my hair yet, and it's cold outside, so I'm wearing a hat. Deal with it. I'm going to cover a couple of things that you're going to need to cook the perfect steak. Basically, you can do this in a couple of minutes, but there's some recommendations. First off, you're going to need a steak. If you're well prepared for this in advance, what you do is you basically lay the meat out to let it get to room temperature. An hour at the most, usually half an hour or so. The reason I say this is cold meat doesn't cook as well or as evenly the same way the room temperature meat does. So you don't want to mess with cold meat. Next, you're going to need a couple other things. You're going to need a stove. What you can or can't see there is it's preheated to 450 degrees. Why 450 degrees? I don't know. Don't know why, but that temperature works. Obviously, you need to preheat your oven before you're ready to cook, so don't be an idiot and try to stick it in there when it's not warm enough. Your results will not be good, I promise. What else you need? You need a cast iron skillet. This is the Lodge brand. I think I picked it up at some hunting outdoor store. They're like 25 bucks. Buy one. Don't be cheap. It's worth it. Follow the directions to make this thing seasoned in advance so that the cooking temperature or the cooking surface is ready. It rises to the right temperature, and generally speaking, you'll see an amazing steak. What other ingredients do you need? Just a couple. A man eats a steak with nothing extra on it. This isn't the time where you want to get your paprika and your basil and all the other fruits and vegetables that grow in the garden. This is where you get a good piece of meat, you put minimal seasonings on it, and you basically just let it cook. So, as we mentioned, we got steak. What else? You need some kind of oil, something to cook this in. Some people use butter, some people use other shit. I've noticed that the best temperature comes from using an oil that has a high smoking point. What I use is avocado oil. So, get some avocado oil. This is the Chosen Foods brand. It's 100% pure avocado oil. You can't put it on toast, nothing stupid like that. And you probably can't make guacamole with it. Just use it for cooking. What else you need? Sea salt. This is the Costco brand. I'm cheap. I go grocery shopping once a year. I get a lot of shit from there that you need for cooking. What else? Garlic powder. Why garlic powder? You'll see. Black pepper. In this sexy grinder I also picked up from Amazon. I don't know how much either of these cost, but it's the Costco brand black pepper. You get a nice workout twisting this, grinding it to the right texture and consistency for your black pepper. Final ingredient, Kerrygold pure Irish butter. The gold package is the salted one. I normally don't use a lot of salt on anything, but we're gonna have to use some salt here. Also, get some tongs, and if you're using a cast iron skillet like this, don't be a dumbass. The handle gets just as hot as everything else on it, so get yourself something like a towel, a glove, an oven mitt. I don't know, anything that prevents you from grabbing the handle with your hands. Because it's gonna burn you, it will suck. I've done it twice. It is not fun. Next, what do you do to prepare the meat? So, I'm gonna set this up here so you can see what I'm doing while I talk. Basically, you got your standard issue plate. I think I picked this up at Meijer. Make sure the plate's clean. Next, we got our steak. Taking this out of the package. Self-explanatory, ipso facto. If you can't figure out this part, you probably shouldn't be cooking. Or using things like knives in general. Next, what I do is an industry trade secret. I don't know where I picked this up, but credit to whoever came up with this. Basically, what you want to do is absorb all of the moisture and blood on the meat so that it is less moisturous when you cook it, so the meat is actually cooking. Because when you mix cold water or blood with high temperature heat, you get adverse effects. I don't remember much of science class because I didn't really give a shit in school, but I know that that thing doesn't end well. So, you get yourself your regular paper towel. I don't know what brand. It's not organic or whatever else. You probably shouldn't buy this at Whole Foods. If you do, you're stupid. And what you do is you basically put it down on a piece of paper towel, and then you get another piece of paper towel. And then you pat it. How long do you pat it? Well, you're not playing with yourself. You're just trying to get the moisture off. So just pat it, I don't know, generously. And basically you keep doing this. It usually takes about 2 pieces of paper towel total until you got basically a moisture-free or a lot less moisture steak than you started with. Real simple. You cannot fuck this up. If you do, I feel sorry for you, because that means you probably can't figure out other things in life, like how to tie your shoes. So, getting on to piece number 3 here. It's our final piece. We're moisture proofing our steak. Nice and simple. You can already see that the paper towel is coming back with a lot less blood on it. Our plate is now pretty much dry as well. Next, what do? It's where you season your steak. Basically, I start with my pure sea salt. I like using sea salt instead of other shit like, I don't know, regular salt, because it's not as strong. It tastes a lot more natural to me. It probably doesn't have other shit added in it like regular bleached table salt. So what I do is I do 2 passes across it. 1 light pass, then the second light pass. And that's about as much salt as you need. If you need any more salt than that, you probably need to start questioning your decisions in life, because you're not eating beef jerky, nor are you making it. This is a steak. Seasoning is meant to accent the food you're eating. Next, our black pepper. This comes in peppercorns, I think is what these are called. You put them in a grinder, and then you get your bicep workout for the day. You grind the shit out of it and lightly dust the steak. Ipso facto, that's how quickly it's done. Next, flip that bad boy over. Once again, our 2 dustings of salt. 1, 2, followed by, once again, your superset. More black pepper. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Nice and easy. Are you following me here? I hope you sure are, because this is gonna get even better now. Watch what happens next. What do you need to do to make your steak cook? Pretty simple. You got your cast iron skillet like we discussed. Basically, you want to turn this shit up to like medium high or something. I have a Frigidaire Gallery gas stove, and that requires lighting this thing and putting it on the 5 setting. 5 is the second highest number between low and 6. So, we put it up on 5. I get my avocado oil, like we just discussed. Open the jar, and then you just pour just enough in. I can't see if you can see this or not, so I hope so. So, trying to do this without dropping my phone in here, because then it'd be the end of this video. While the oil heats up, I'm going to tell you about certain things. It is now 1 degree, or just above it, in Michigan. It's cold. That's why I'm wearing a hat. And because this hat is sexy. Yes, it is. Basically, what you're doing next is you're waiting for the oil to heat up. Don't forget my reminder once again. Use a towel or something else to grab the cast iron skillet. You will burn yourself, and I will laugh at you when you do, because I've done it myself. So, what are we doing? We're waiting for this oil to heat up. How do you know when it's right? Well, two things. First off, if your oven's not level, your oil's gonna pool in certain sections of the cast iron skillet. So what you do is you basically just need to move it around a little with your towel covered handle and make sure that the oil covers the whole skillet in full. This is really easy to do when you're cooking one steak. You can also do this with 2 steaks. Don't get greedy. Anything beyond that, you need another skillet. You don't want the skillet crowded. So, what happens is, when your oil starts heating up, you can basically put your hand over it and feel how warm it gets. You want this to where you're not seeing smoke yet. If that's the case, then it's too damn hot. You're gonna burn your steak and you're gonna be eating a piece of leather. And nobody wants to do that. If you got a good piece of meat, you need to make sure it's cooked thoroughly. But let me give you a final warning. A steak well done is a steak that belongs in the trash. If you eat your steak well done, stop watching this video now, because even if I don't know you, I definitely don't like you. You make terrible decisions in life. If you eat a steak well done, you cannot be trusted in many other things in life. So, stop watching now. For the rest of us meat eaters, medium, rare, basically it'll come down to timing. Once this thing gets ready to cook, it cooks fast. So here's what we gotta do. You're gonna make sure you have a timer. You're gonna grab your tongs, grab your steak, and then you drop that bitch right on the skillet. And now, set your timer for 2 minutes. We got our timer going. 2 minutes on your first side. What do we do in the meantime? Well, some people like to prepare sides. This is normally about the time when I'm pulling out the asparagus out of the oven. Other people, I don't know, let's see. What my dog does here is he sits and waits. You know why? Because he wants a piece of meat. Because everybody wants a piece of meat when you're making steak. Right, Mishka? Right, boy? You can do other things. You can utilize your kitchen for exercising. You can do things like, there we go. Get a couple of push-ups in against your countertop. Show people where the gun show is. That way. You can get some stretches in. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the spot right there. Best part about it is you can get creative. If you're entertaining people, now you grab your bottle of wine, your red wines, your merlots, and you start pouring. You start talking about shit, the weather and such, make small talk, pretend like you care about other people's kids. Things like of that nature. So, what's going on with our timer here? It says we got about 30 seconds or so left. What do you do afterwards? Basically, it's not rocket science. You're gonna see that the meat's starting to smoke. You see that? Right about now, it smells amazing. I'm pretty sure the neighbors just woke up. It's that serious. Now what happens is, you turn it over. See that? But your steak looks brown. Well, that's the color that meat gets. So, we're turning it over for another 2 minutes. What do you do for the remaining 2 minutes? Do some other shit. Prepare for what happens next. What I like to do now is I start cleaning up. Cleaning, generally speaking, isn't an activity that I normally support, but sometimes you gotta do it. Nobody wants dirty meat rags around. Except for the dog. Right, Pooch? Yeah. That's right. Get yourself a dog too. They're loyal. Next. What happens next? So, basically what's happening now is you're cooking your meat. This is where you basically cook the edges. You cook the outside, it sears, it locks in the flavor. What happens here is this isn't necessarily determining your mediumness or your doneness, whatever you want to call it. It's basically cooking the outsides. Where you're really going to determine your mediumness is once you throw it in the oven. So the best part about these cast iron skillets is the fact that you can grab that shit, hopefully with a towel, and you can stick it in the oven as is. You don't need a baking tray. You don't need aluminum foil. You don't need to grease anything. It's beautiful. So about the time you hit 2 minutes, you're going to grab that thing and you're going to throw it in the oven. What I like to do is I flip it over as soon as I throw it in the oven because it's already been cooking for 2 minutes on that one side. You don't want one side cooked more than the other. It's not going to be fun. There's our 2 minutes right now. I'm watching the video. That's how I know. I don't practice magic. I'm not a magical timer. Woo! See that shit? That's in the oven. Turning it over right now. Boom. Next. 1.5 minutes on its side. It's all you need to get a nice medium. I promise. Also, don't be stupid. Turn off the top of the range. Here's some instruction. You just turn it the other way and then it's off. It is still hot. Don't rest your arm on it. So, basically while this cooks, I'm going to discuss the degrees of doneness. 1.5 minutes on each side will basically get you to a good medium. 1.15 minutes on each side, medium rare. 2 minutes gets you into the danger zone of well done, medium well. Generally speaking, these are the types of people who eat a steak that way are the ones that you really only invite over once a year when you're forced to. People that you work with. People you generally don't like much. People that eat really shitty cuts of beef with their steak. Or people that just don't know how to eat food. So, we don't cross into that territory. We're getting up on our 1.5 minute mark here. What do you do then? You just grab the meat with your tongs again, and you turn it over. Watch and learn. Meat, tongs. Turn over. And now, another 1.5 minutes. This is right about the time where you could, I don't know, do some more small talk. Feed the dog. Recite some poetry. Have some more Merlot. Other shit like that. Whatever activities you typically take place in. Normally I'll be setting the table now. Or turning on the Netflix. Getting ready for the chill. So, we're preparing here. We don't have much time left. There's a couple of extra steps you're going to need to know as this finishes up. This is where you grab your Irish butter, the good shit, salted. And whip some out. It's hard to do with one hand, a lot harder than I expected. Grab a steak knife. Cut a little bit off. It's about a teaspoon worth. Don't put a tablespoon worth on. That's disgusting. Next, you grab another plate. Oh, shit, there's our timer. 1.5 minutes on each side. We're going to pull our cast iron skillet out. It's gonna be smoky in your house right now. I got rid of the smoke detectors because I like to live dangerously. Right now, there's our steak. You're not done yet. Take it with the tongs. Throw it on the plate. We're gonna hit it with some garlic powder. The good shit, again, Kirkland brand. And you're not really seasoning here. What you're doing is you're just accenting it. Just lightly dust it. Next, what do? Just a couple final steps left here. This is where you're going to take your butter that you cut off earlier. Make sure you get the wrapping paper off. It'd be disgusting to eat it with it. I've tried. Drop that right on there. That looks amazing. And are we done? Almost. There's one final step that you're going to have to complete here. Basically, you need to get you some aluminum foil. I get the Costco brand once again. Tear off a big enough piece. And then you tent your plate. You're making a tent. How long do you leave this for here? Generally speaking, I don't know. What I do is I grab my water, I grab my A1 sauce. Yes, I did just burn my hand pulling this stupid thing out of the oven, but whatever. It's a sacrifice you make when you're basically making the most delicious meal possible. So, right now I'd be grabbing my A1 sauce, my water, whatever it may be. The final trimmings, some bullshit rabbit food like a salad maybe to throw out. And in about a minute or so, you're pretty much ready to eat. I wish I could give you guys smell-o-vision right now so that you could see and smell how amazing this steak looks. So, you take this along with your plate, along with your knife. Get a steak knife, by the way. Anything else is embarrassing. Fork, all you need, right there. In about a minute or so, I'll show you exactly what the finished product looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple minutes later, it's time for our final reveal. We return to our plate of food with something hiding underneath. Yeah! Look at that. Perfectly darkened with some melted butter on top. It's the good stuff. Along with, see, even the camera doesn't like this salad and whatever. And A1 sauce. This is where you can comfortably dig in. Problem solved. One final thought. As you're eating your steak, na zdrowie.